like that.
Yeah. It looked like it took a snapshot before it went big again. Like, I don't know.
Howdy, y'all. This is Clay.
And I'm Lloyd.
And this is Iron Sharpening Iron with the Kahler Boys on October the 10th, 2024.
It is indeed. Thursday morning.
For those of y'all that watch our podcast from somewhere other than North Central Texas, it is October the 10th, and we're expecting 94 degrees today.
Yeah.
Our brother
I've
Frank.
got a question right off.
All right.
Right off. If a grocery store has a health food section, what does it make the rest of the grocery store?
That would be unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
Yeah.
Unhealthy food.
Yeah.
I'm just pondering things.
Yeah.
Just pondering things.
So our big brother Frank, he is in visiting from Michigan.
We should have had him come over.
Oh, I know it. So anyhow, Frank, I was up there. We'll get into this. I was up at the hospital.
You're much older brother Frank.
Yeah.
Older than me. He's like, so when you say how old I am,
he's not a great grandfather.
Well, I know, but he's a pretty good one. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not be great at it, but he's practicing. He's just learning. He doesn't have as many grandkids as I do. So he's pretty good.
We were up at the hospital visiting Mama, and he FaceTimed Chris while we were up there. And it was middle of the day. It was already 92 degrees here. And Frank says, "What's the temperature up there?" It's 64 degrees.
Yeah, I don't like Chris. Never did like him as a kid either.
Oh, man. Speaking of which,
Chris, you watch our podcast, Uncle Lloyd. Sorry.
Our nephew Chris is a 15-year veteran of the sheriff's office
Doesn't
up
even
there.
seem right.
I know it.
Doesn't seem right that he can have a 15-year career already. I can remember little Frank running around.
I know.
Just as little and just identical to Frank.
Still
does.
Yeah. Frank showed a picture of himself at the same age that Chris is now.
It's called a copy.
It's amazing.
And the baby pictures of Frank.
Yeah.
And when Chris was here, it's like, golly, that's pretty spot on.
So I want to just take time out to thank Chris for his service to his community. He's a member of the dive team for the sheriff's office, and one of the longest standing members of the dive team. He's a senior.
And let me tell you something. Dive team in that part of the country means a whole lot different than
dive team here. That's cold stuff.
Yeah, dive team is way different in Michigan than it is in Texas.
Something else I want to bring up.
All right.
We got some new T-shirts.
That'll get there.
All right. This is Recreation Adventure Ministry. This is a Christian organization. Now, unlike Full Armor of God, Recreation is not a hunting guide service.
Okay.
It is an outdoor adventure
I'm
service.
learning about this now.
Yeah, you are.
This morning. I didn't have no idea about this. I just knew that we had shirts. That was my only.
Here's how much this old turd trusts me. He's wearing the shirt and he doesn't know anything about the organization. So this is a pro-abortion. No. He can go rip that thing off. He go whip out his knife and cut it off of him. There you go. Abortion is murder. No, this is a Christian ministry. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to their mission statement: reaching and discipling people for Jesus Christ through guided outdoor adventures.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, isn't that cool? Bill Banks is the minister and director of this thing. I've met him through Billy Pate. He's the one personally gave us these shirts. Just a real good guy. As a matter of fact, if you live in the Texoma area, Saturday, day after tomorrow, Saturday at 8 a.m. at Red River Cowboy Church, we're having the men's breakfast, and Bill Banks is our speaker. So,
wow.
Yeah. So if you can make it out, come on out. It's 8 o'clock. You could do that.
I can do that.
You could do that. You've done one before, haven't you?
The
last one we had at our church.
Yeah.
So come on out. They do backpacking adventures, rock climbing adventures, ski and snowboarding adventures, day hiking and camping adventures, and it's all.
I qualify for none of the above.
Well, if we could get you that wheelchair with the tracks on it,
dude, that thing is.
Oh, I'm telling you, that's a beast.
That's a beast.
That's a beast.
They've got one out that I really do like, and I've seriously thought about it just because it's so hard for me to walk in the woods.
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny, just physically is. And they've got one out. Good Lord, man.
It's hard for you to walk in a hospital.
Yeah. But this thing is, I think it was started at 10 grand.
Yeah.
But you can run it through 2 foot of water.
Yeah.
It has a gun mount on it where you can mount your rifle, while
Right.
you're in transit.
Yeah.
It has a tripod mount where while you're sitting, you got a steady rest. It's got lights, and both green lights and white lights for seeing good, and,
Right.
and so the animals can't see.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
It's pretty neat. But that was not the start out one.
Yeah,
the start out was bare bones. You better wear a backpack and tote your own rifle.
I'll tell you what, I don't have the problems getting around that you do, and I want one of them.
I mean,
it's better than the 4-wheeler.
I think the top speed on it was 6 miles an hour.
Is it strong enough to drag a deer out of the woods?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, it has that. It can drag a deer out of the woods, or it has a trailer attachment.
Oh, there you go.
Better. That 6 miles an hour can go up a 42 degree grade hill,
and that thing will climb rocks and logs and everything else.
I watched the whole video on this thing, and this guy was taking this thing everywhere, and I thought, well, he's just showing it off. No, he was a paraplegic.
Oh man!
And he was actually using it. And when he got done with the demonstration, he goes over to the truck, and they helped him off of the apparatus and into his normal chair.
Yeah,
and so he's using it with all the confidence of somebody with legs.
Yeah,
because I did not know that he was paraplegic whenever he was driving this thing around.
Well, and the fact that it can do a 42 degree grade, the ramps that you have for your truck, you can pull right up in there.
Oh, you could. That's a
yeah.
You think about what a 45. I mean.
Oh yeah.
A 90 degree, a 45 degree grade is steep.
Yeah.
Steep. You don't want to climb much. I mean, that's going to be pretty good in your truck. Depending on the ground.
You did boot camp at Fort Knox. You remember Agony and Misery?
Oh, I do.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're climbing a 45 degree grade hill in your pickup, your 4-wheel drive pickup. Yeah. If your ground ain't good, you're not climbing.
You're gonna have a rough time.
You're gonna
That's
have
true
a rough
enough.
time, especially in like your pickup. It's a long bed.
Yeah.
Or longer wheelbase.
Right.
And it would be tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough little trip there.
I want to do a scripture today.
All right.
And it's one that we've done before.
Okay.
But we've been doing this podcast for a long time. And you know what? Have you ever noticed you study something in Galatians and then you're studying in Colossians, and Paul says the same thing in Colossians that he said in Galatians? Or similar?
The Bible refers back to itself a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does. Repetition is the key to understanding.
And one of the things that makes the Bible so believable and so understandable that it's the Word of God is how
it teaches
hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It referenced back.
Yeah.
From what this guy said, and
Uh-huh.
it was not only different authors coming to the same conclusion, God-inspired conclusions.
That's exactly right.
But they were spanned hundreds of years apart.
And there's no contradiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm coming out of Matthew 24. With everything we're seeing going on in our world right now, I thought it was a good idea to come back and revisit this. Backstory to this passage. Jesus and his disciples had just been to the temple, and the disciples are in awe of the temple. They've seen it before, but every time they see it, they're in awe.
Right.
And Jesus says, I'll tell you something, fellas. Day's coming that not one stone will be standing on top of another stone. They're going to tear it down. And the disciples said, tell us when this will be. What are the signs of the time of the coming of the end of the age? And Jesus said this. Jesus answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in various places. All of these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so Jesus describes this period of time that comes before the end.
You know what I heard out of that?
What's that?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't sweat this.
No.
That's what I heard. A whole bunch of this, that, and the other. Now I'm not listening, but what I gathered out of all of that was, all this is going to be not real cool, but don't worry.
But I've got it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I live on that.
Yeah.
I live on that.
I know you do, man. I've witnessed it out of you. But here's the thing about this, man. Jesus describes what he's describing is a period of time that comes before a period that is established in Scripture called the tribulation.
Right.
Now,
birth pains, beginning of sorrow.
That's it. So let's break this down. looking at what he just described, and I'm going to do a real quick calendar here, okay? You've got the beginning of sorrows. You've got the rapture of the church. Hey, he himself will descend from heaven with a shout and the voice of an archangel and the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Thus we will be with the Lord always. Therefore, comfort one another with these words.
In the words of Pastor John, I want Jesus to pause me just for a minute so I can say, "Go, I'm out."
So you got the birth pangs, or the beginning of sorrows. You got the rapture of the church. You got the signing of the covenant between Antichrist and Israel, which begins the tribulation. The good news is, if you've trusted in death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, you will not be here for those last two parts.
That's it.
The birth pangs, the beginning of sorrows, is the worst that we're going to experience.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
And I think maybe beginning in 2020 that we have been coming into this. We are coming into this time of sorrow.
Shifted.
Yeah.
Happened.
Yeah.
Started taking
a whole
place.
lot.
Different. Way different.
2020 proved to the federal government and the powers that be, whatever they may be, Klaus Schwab and all of them,
deep state or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'm even going further than deep state. I'm talking about the one world government folks.
Well, yeah,
the World Economic Forum and all that.
They all in the same bed.
2020 proved to them that the most rebellious and the most resilient people on the planet, the United States citizen, was willing to lay down, shut up, and do what they're told.
And be sheep.
Yeah.
Don't do your own research.
That's right. That's right. And that was the beginning of it. In my estimation, I'm not testifying. I'm not saying that thus saith the Lord.
No,
I'm observing from my knowledge of Scripture. And
something definitely.
And then you look at you just go on down through this. After that,
a downfall.
Yeah, after that,
downfall.
It was after that Putin invaded. And yes, I know. And put it in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong. Yes, I know there have been skirmishes and wars all throughout human history. Duh.
Sure.
But when's the last time that you can remember that for 2, 3, 4 years we're all sitting on the edges of our seat, knowing that World War III is coming? And is this it? Is this it? Wars and rumors of wars.
Right.
There are wars all over this planet right now. In 2020, we had wars in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah.
It may not have been uniformed armies going against each other, but they were murdering people in the street and burning neighborhoods to the ground. And Tim Waltz, Tampon Tim, was sitting back in his house with the windows open so he and his wife could smell the burning tires.
Smelling the tires, because it smelled like freedom, smelled like progress.
Let me ask you a question. Looking at the news footage from then, where you had this CNN news guy with a respirator mask and flames behind him, and he says they're mostly fiery but peaceful protests.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly peaceful.
Did that not look like a war zone?
It looked like a war zone.
Yeah.
Looked like third world country. When they took over the whole block and the police station in Seattle.
Yeah.
That was a
burning police cars.
Insurrection, maybe you could call that.
Could. Certainly could.
Because they use violence to do that.
And then look at some of the other things that he mentions here, okay? Wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom. We're seeing all that.
Yeah.
There will be famines. That's a drought.
Yeah. Did
you know that Chicago is under a drought right now?
I did not.
They're saying that the Great Lakes are starting to dry up. When I heard that Chicago was under a drought, I'm like, how's that possible? They're on the Great Lake.
Yeah.
But the Great Lakes are apparently, I haven't done research, but this is what I've heard.
That's what we need Frank in here today.
I know. Pestilence, that's disease.
There's been a lot of disease.
Infestations.
Yep.
Would you agree? And I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm asking you to give me your honest opinion.
Okay.
I can say that in my experience, I have never in my life seen so many insects and so active as this year. The grasshoppers, the moths, the gnats. I mean, it's just crazy to me.
I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah?
My honest opinion. No, I haven't even thought about it. I haven't.
But
I think that we had a less year, as a matter of fact, for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I think our mosquito population
That's nice.
is less. I really do.
Yeah.
I only use my little mosquito repellent thing a few times. Usually I can buy a whole new box every year.
Right.
And this year I don't think I'll have to buy none next year.
Right.
Unless we have all of a sudden outbreak here at the end of the winter. I don't really foresee it.
Well, I'll tell you this, when we go hunting, I'm still toting it out to the woods just to be safe.
I'll tote mine, yeah.
It ain't that heavy.
It ain't that heavy. Don't take up much room.
He says pestilence, and then you also think COVID, and then COVID variation 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever.
And a lot of these are
monkeypox,
man-made.
Oh yeah.
The family done but the starvations.
Yeah.
They're now declaring that if you grow your own food, there's a government study. 85% of all scientists that get grants have agreed that if you grow your own food, you're a bigger impact on the carbon than if it's done commercially.
Than if you buy it in the grocery store.
Yep.
So the gas that I spend driving to the grocery store, and the diesel that was burned by the delivery trucks bringing it to the grocery store, and the diesel that was burned in the tractors of the farmers,
that's
the
way worse.
Corporate farmers.
That's way worse than you out there watering your quarter acre.
That's amazing.
And hoeing it up with your little hoe, and maybe getting the rototiller out. Maybe if it's even that big.
Yeah.
But see, that's just all setting up.
It's propaganda. It's propaganda.
That's right. Because of that study, now later on, they say, no, don't you remember the study?
Yeah.
That nobody disputed?
Yeah.
Because 85% of all scientists that got the grants agreed.
The fact that you have a dozen chickens out in your backyard, you are killing the planet.
That's right. And now we can do something about it and control the food.
Oh, yeah. Come on with it.
Control the food.
I know you do, because we talked about this. There is a law on the books that if you have a stockpile of food, ammunition, weapons, water, or medicine, and the government determines they need it for someone else, they can come into your house and take it.
Absolutely.
That's just exciting, isn't it? And then the last one he said is earthquakes in various places. Now, all right, so let's start with earthquakes.
Okay.
We have seen a lot of earthquakes.
We've seen a lot of earthquakes
in weird places.
Right, that normally don't get it.
We had earthquakes here a couple months ago.
We get them fair. We get them enough that there's been a seismograph machine up there in
Norman, Oklahoma.
In Wichita Mountain.
Is it?
At Mears, remember?
Oh, okay.
At Mears. There's a little machine at Mears, and it's been there since we were kids.
Yeah.
So there has been some activity, but it has increased without a doubt. Without a doubt, it's increased.
And of course, the liberals say that's because of fracking.
Yeah. Climate change and fracking.
Yep. But let's expand this, and I think I'm okay with this. And if you don't think I am, let me know. But earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, natural disasters.
You see all the tornado outbreaks
in Florida?
Yeah. 50 of them. They reported 50 different tornadoes.
And the tornadoes have taken lives.
I don't ever remember hearing that many tornadoes. When we was kids, we lived in Tornado Alley. It's shifted since then. When we was kids, we watched 5 tornadoes go right down the Red River between us and Randolette. Right now, we watched them one after a time.
We would stand on the front porch and watch tornadoes go by.
Yeah. And
that was our springtime entertainment. And then when we got old enough to have vehicles or friends with vehicles, we'd jump in them and chase them. Yeah.
And now, even now, if we get storms, I go outside and look at them.
Oh, of course. I got chewed out. When we had that tornado that hit Duval here not too long ago, and all the storm chaser trucks were flying down my road. I was standing out on the porch and I was watching, because you've got all these storm chasing vehicles. They had the I think they call it the Tortoise.
Yeah, the one it's all like shielded and
yeah. It went down my road. I got to see that thing, and Joe and Sue drove by. And next Sunday, Sue just chewed me out. Why were you out there on your porch in that dangerous weather? I said, why were you and Joe out driving around in that dangerous weather? They were trying to get home, though.
My neighbor, she's an elderly woman, across the street neighbor.
Yeah.
And I'm standing out the yard drinking a cup of coffee, looking up there at the sky. And I'm on the phone with Donnie Bates. Yeah. And I said, there's rotation in this one. She's hollering at me, get inside.
Oh, man. I think 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, there was a hurricane on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That hit California. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. It's climate change.
Climate change.
It's climate change. Folks, here's my point. My point is...
Well, the government's going to say and do anything to contradict the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard Project Bluebeam?
I have not, but let me finish my thought, and then with you, I want to hear about it. Okay, so here's my point, y'all. I'm not adamant. I'm not saying, again, thus saith the Lord. What I am saying is that all signs point to the fact that we are in the beginning of sorrows.
Yes.
And
it's time to get ready or be ready.
Yeah. Getting ready's past. It's too late to get ready. It's time to be ready.
It ain't never too late.
That's true.
As long as you're stuck in there, you can.
That's true.
On your deathbed. That's what's coming through your front door.
Project Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam. It's one of them tinfoil hat conspiracy kind of things, but it actually did happen.
Is this the space lasers?
In a way,
yeah.
They do have this technology. I've seen it not in person,
right?
But I've seen it both on TV and in video form, where they can project just about anything in the sky.
Oh yeah.
And something about using the atmosphere as your screen, and it's
the humidity in the air. Disney
did it with a bunch of whales and sharks.
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
And it was like
they've got a fountain and they project on the water droplets.
Well, this is just right out there.
Right, but the humidity in the air. What people don't realize is there's always moisture in the air.
Always, constantly.
Even you can be in Arizona and there's some moisture in the air.
Well, what Project Bluebeam they're suggesting is, in order to help advance the one world government,
I have heard this,
and the one religion, is they'll be able to, and what the plan is, if you buy into the conspiracy theory. I don't know if I buy into it or not.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not possible, because I think
it's certainly possible.
Would do anything to gain power, because that's what evil does.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, they're going to project the prominent God figure of that area.
Might be Muhammad.
It might be Buddha. It might be whatever in that area. They like in our area, I imagine it would be the Jesus.
Yeah.
A figure to appear to be or make us believe it was Jesus.
Yeah.
And then Jesus is going to talk.
Command us
and tell us, hey, I'm Jesus, and hey, what's up, y'all? And then is going to fade away and morph into this other person or figure that is actually going to be the new God.
Can you say Antichrist?
And that's what they say. That's going to be the Antichrist, and it's going to be, look, Jesus is going to say, y'all for years have thought I was the Messiah. Y'all for years have thought that the book was written about me. It's been translated wrong.
Can I time you out just for a second? For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ. Do not be deceived.
Yeah. And this projected figure is going to tell you it's been translated wrong, and I'm here to set the story straight.
Yeah.
And yes, I was a prophet, not the Messiah. Yes, I was a prophet, but this is your true God, and it's when it morphs in. And of course, all across the world, it's supposed to be doing this simultaneously, and it's all projected, like I said, in their God figure, whoever that in China it'll be Buddha. And I don't know who else does what else. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's a tinfoil hat thing. But I know that the technology is out there, and I know that the government. I do know this. The government, through FOIA records, you can find out the government did have something called Project Bluebeam.
Yep.
And it was about projecting things in the sky.
Yeah.
But supposedly it was for commercial and advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would the government get into commercial and advertisement? That don't make no sense.
The ad council. Don't you hear those radio commercials?
There you go. And then, like old Judge Judy says, don't make sense. It's probably not true.
Yeah.
And it, you know what? That applies to a lot.
Oh, it does. It does.
Judge Judy is a genius. She really is.
Many will come in my name. Do not be deceived.
Yes. And so when you get that beam up in the light, just remember what you heard old Lloyd say about Project Bluebeam.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm right.
Well, and let me throw this out there, y'all. Anything that contradicts the word of God is from the enemy.
That's it.
Period.
That's
it. Period. That's it. So let's talk a little bit about recent happenings here domestically. Just a little over 2 weeks ago, Hurricane Hileen hit the eastern seaboard, hit Florida, It hit Georgia. It hit North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee. By the way, my Aunt Velma, we talked about this last week. I talked to Aunt Velma. She's fine. My cousin Misty's fine.
Brandon's north of everything in North Carolina, so he's good.
But to this day, we still have rescue efforts going on and recovery efforts.
Yes.
From that storm. And then yesterday, Hurricane Milton hit.
Boy, it wasn't good.
Fortunately, it didn't take the same path. Could you imagine?
Oh, no.
The devastation?
Mm.
Now, by God's grace, Milton went from a 5 to a 3 just before it hit landfall.
Right.
But, and they were projecting 15 to 20 foot surge.
Yeah.
And it was like 4 to 6 foot surge. And that makes everyone that's not in Florida take a sigh of relief. But for a 4 foot wall of water,
it's still
coming through your living room is still a 4 foot wall of water, and it's still enough to wash vehicles away.
But how Governor DeSantis has handled that,
dude, that man's a champ.
And he flat out said that he said, "I'm the sheriff in town. FEMA does not run this, and they will not run this. We will use their assistance to assist us."
Did you see the video of him right after some of the death toll was told to him, and he was standing there crying?
I didn't.
Yeah. He was crying because he couldn't save everybody.
Man.
This man, I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't know much about DeSantis, but he was served in the Navy. The dude's smart. He was an officer. He was JAG. He was involved in some stuff. This dude is something special.
He's been around, and he is. And he cares about the country, dude. He cares about the United States.
He was my second choice. If Trump hadn't run, I would have been that'd be a DeSantis hat up there right now.
Right.
And the way
for Harris to say, call out and say, "Well, I've tried to call him in his office, not, and that's just."
Did you hear his response?
Yes.
In the last 3.5 years, you never called before.
Not one time.
Yeah.
He said,
and he's been back and forth with Biden on Biden's private cell phone. Yeah. So what's your point, Miss Harris?
Now, right here at election, you're going to all of a sudden jump in and act like. But you know what she was doing? Why Miami was getting slammed? Why Florida was getting hit?
Was that when she was on The View?
She was on the Stephen Colbert show drinking beer.
Yeah, that's right. She's
on the Stephen.
Had to have a cold one.
Why people are boarding up and preparing why they're writing their kids' names on their arm just in case they get swept away by the storm.
Yep.
And they can be identified later with a Sharpie.
Right.
She was having a cold one on the Tonight Show.
There you go.
I mean, that's a leader. That's just a leader. Makes me sick, dude.
Did you see when her teleprompter went out?
Yes.
God, that was hilarious.
That was like she had Bidenitis.
She just started
That's
stammering.
Bidenitis.
There you go.
She got the Bidenitis.
She was stammering and stuttering and repeating herself. Donald, and by the way, it was the same day or next day or day before, whatever. Donald Trump's teleprompter went out, and he just kept plowing through. He didn't care.
No, he
barely uses the thing anyway.
Yeah, he referenced
it's a suggested outline for him.
He looked over.
For her, it's a script. For him, it's a suggested outline. Oh man, Butler, Pennsylvania. Dude, have you seen the rally yet?
Yes.
Good. He called Elon Musk up there.
Oh, I know.
First of all, Elon is jumping around, showing his belly like some kindergarten kid. He's so excited. And then he gets up there and he's got this black hat that says "Make America Great Again" in black.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA."
Yeah. I love it, dude.
And then he
is hilarious. Man.
He is. He really is.
His tweets that he puts out.
Oh no, I know it, man. I know it.
I know I sent you one. It was very wrong. But it was so funny.
He is funny.
And I mean, when that dude, when the governor there in California said something about it.
Oh yeah.
And he got old Dr. Sugon.
Yeah.
I won't finish the
Yeah.
But old Dr. Sugon. And I'm gonna tell you what, man.
That funny stuff.
Dr. Sugon has weighed in many of my arguments since then.
Yeah.
Many of them. I'll tell somebody real quick, according to Dr. Sugon.
That's right. The leading expert in the
field. World renowned.
Another thing that Elon said that just absolutely broke the liberals is he was talking about the First Amendment. and why he bought X. And he was talking about without the First Amendment, you don't have a country, and all of this stuff. And then he said, and the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we keep our First Amendment.
Have you heard?
Dude,
have you heard what happened? What was going on before he bought X? I watched.
Well, I've heard a lot of stuff that was going on, but
the CIA was attempting to create its own division of fact checkers.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
In being paid by Twitter.
You know that there was an FBI agent that officed in the Twitter headquarters.
Yeah.
He had a private office. He was an FBI agent.
Yeah.
Why does an FBI agent have a private office in a private business?
Censorship. And that's the CIA. They were going and moonlighting at Twitter and getting paid by Twitter.
Right.
And they were going to be
fact checkers.
They slowly filtered in and then started forming their group once they were there.
Right.
And it was like a covert operation to censor America.
On the Twitter network, there was a special group, a chat group that was all federal agents that were working for Twitter.
That was part of that CIA business.
Yeah.
And then right before
Elon rooted all that out.
Yeah, right before it all like really came together to be like something.
Yeah.
Elon bought Twitter, named it X, and fired
80%. 80% of the workforce.
That's close enough.
There's two things that I'm super excited about when, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when Donald Trump takes office.
I already know
if there's
two things. I already know the two
things. I know you do because you and I are glued to the hip on this thing.
I'm excited about it.
Number one is going to be Elon Musk going in there and doing an audit of the federal government.
Yes.
He trimmed 80% of the workforce from X, and X is working better than it ever did as Twitter.
Better.
Can you imagine Elon Musk going through and saying, okay, these three positions are all redundant. We can get rid of two of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what he's going to do. And what's the second thing
The second thing is going to be Mr. Kennedy going in there and hammering the food industry.
The health. Yes, it is horrible.
Getting rid of red dye number 9 or whatever it is.
Let's get rid of pumpkin spice from Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know why?
I hadn't heard this one.
They're being sued right now.
Nice.
Right now. And they have found they don't put their ingredients in their stuff.
Right.
Starbucks in England, they have Starbucks there.
Yeah. Oh, they got them all over the world. Yeah.
And they put their stuff, their ingredients, or it's posted.
Yeah.
This is just for the pumpkin spice latte drinks, whatever. It's all from the pumpkin spice stuff.
Okay.
From Starbucks. In order to get the orange color.
Okay.
To make it look like it's pumpkin.
Yeah.
In England and other countries besides us, they use either a carrot, something made by
some extract from a carrot, okay,
or beet,
a natural dye,
and that's what the guy exactly called.
Not here.
He said beets or carrots.
Not here. We're using carcinogenic chemicals.
You know what it is? Ammonia.
Oh, nice.
Ammonia. They found ammonia in the mix.
See, that'll clear out your system,
and we wonder why we're just
clean you on the inside,
dying, dude. Yeah, left and right. And
well,
that's just one thing.
Have you heard about the store-bought bread?
No.
All right, y'all.
Don't burst my bubble.
I'm about to. I'm about to. If you ask me not to, I won't.
No, go ahead.
I got
over here.
And let me tell you what. I've heard this from multiple sources. Let me tell you one of the sources.
Okay.
Our brother Frank. Frank did the research. Frank studied it.
Uh-oh.
And as a result, Frank and Tammy bought a bread machine and they baked their own bread at home.
What's in the bread?
There is a chemical in store-bought bread. It's a preservative. And it's made from an extract from human hair. They are buying human hair from China, taking this chemical out of the human hair, and it's a preservative in the bread that you buy in the grocery store.
Wow.
Does that not make you go? You're in a restaurant and there's hair in your food. You didn't realize it was one of the primary ingredients.
No.
Is that not just awful?
Subway got in trouble for using bread that wasn't really bread. It wasn't classified as bread.
Well, Frank and I were talking about this too. What about the ice cream sandwiches? I know you've seen those videos.
Oh, yeah. They don't melt.
Yeah, they don't melt. You can put an ice cream sandwich on a plate on your counter and come back 2 days later, it's still in the same shape.
Yeah, it ought to be.
And there's no cream in it. There's no ice in it. It's not ice cream.
Have you seen the lady that has saved the Happy Meal for 30 years?
No.
30 years.
Looks pristine, doesn't it?
It looks like she bought it yesterday. There's no mold. There's no rot. She doesn't keep
What are we eating,
She
folks?
doesn't keep it in an airtight container. Look it up, man. You can find it. It's easily found.
Yeah.
She doesn't keep it in an airtight container. It's in the same bag it was in 30 years ago.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And
that's disturbing.
Opens that wrapper up and it folds it out. It looks, the meat patty, the bread, everything looks just like it did.
Meat patty.
Yeah.
Human hair in the hamburger bun, I bet. Isn't that exciting? Speaking of which, let's go back to these hurricanes, because there's something else I want to talk about. Joe Biden. All of a sudden, this is funny. This is so freaking funny. Joe Biden is now out there he's I want to say campaign trail. He's not on campaign trail. He's out there doing media. All of a sudden, it's like we hadn't heard from him for a long time. And all of a sudden, now he's out there every day. Joe Biden is out there contradicting Kamala Harris. And it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
Harris, she threw her little hissy fit about Ron DeSantis.
Yeah,
and while she was on the, I want to say she was on the View. Yeah, it was while she was on the View. The same time, at the exact same time, he's doing a press conference talking about a wonderful job Governor DeSantis is doing, and we've been in contact with. I gave him my private cell phone number. He's doing fantastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, he gave a speech the other day. Yesterday, I think it was, and in it, he was talking about Donald Trump, and he said it is un-American that Donald Trump is spreading misinformation about Hurricane Hileen and our efforts he said, the federal government is doing everything we can to help these people, and Donald Trump is stirring up trouble, and this is un-American. We hear stories from people on the ground that have been there for 2 weeks after this hurricane and have not seen a single federal agent. You know what they see? They see these rednecks out of Louisiana in a bass boat wearing overalls.
Yeah.
They see the Cajun Navy.
Right.
They see Samaritan's Purse.
They
see private citizens backpacking water and supplies in. They see mules carrying supplies. They're using mule trains, Lloyd, to get supplies into these mountains.
You seen the video where the Black Hawk comes and destroys all these supplies?
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's under
I wonder if it's real.
It is.
See,
real.
I have to.
It is real. No, I've seen 2 or 3 different videos from different people.
Yeah, but like you often say, we also saw Will Smith climb into an alien spaceship and blow up the mothership. This
is actually under investigation now.
Yeah,
and they think it's a National Guard helicopter,
right?
Because of
the tail numbers.
It wasn't just the tail numbers, a feature on the helicopter that's not on some other helicopter or whatever. But it came in, and there was a big distribution center where there was all kinds of supplies, and it come down and rotor washed the thing and just tore it up.
Amazing.
Tore it up and then peeled off and took off. Wasn't even landing.
Well, and there have been legitimate stories, I'll say, of volunteers being threatened with arrest. Helicopter pilots being threatened with arrest.
The one that I know for sure happened. They interviewed the helicopter pilot and they interviewed the sheriff that told him not to go back or he'd be arrested. And that's 100% true. He rescued the woman.
Yeah,
and left the husband because he couldn't get them all in there. Left the husband with his son.
Yeah.
And then, the son and the husband are now stranded.
Right.
His son, he takes
and this helicopter pilot knows right where they are.
Yeah, he takes the woman back. And they're trying to tell him not to go back there. And the guy's like, I'm not leaving my son.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Yeah. But there is one organization that is trumping all wherever they want to go, and the feds aren't saying a thing to them. And my hat's off to them.
Who is it?
It's an organization called, I want to say it's called Rescuing Our Allies. It's Tim Kennedy's organization. You know who Tim Kennedy is, right? Tim Kennedy is a retired Green Beret. And his organization is made up of Delta Force operators, Navy SEALs, Green Berets.
and they're not messing with them.
And they're going in multicam, armed. And for some reason, the federal government's just not saying anything to them. I love it. And he's doing interviews. He's doing it. Tim Kennedy's doing interviews.
Good.
And they're going in by any means that they can. These civilian helicopters, they'll go up to them and say, hey, can you get us up on that hill? and they're fast roping. I mean, they're doing operations,
right?
And the government just doesn't see that.
Leave that alone.
Because they, those pencil pushers at FEMA that want to act all tough, just for some reason don't want to take on a bunch of Delta operators and Navy SEALs. I don't know why.
Yeah. You hear about the one FEMA guy? Now, once again, this is a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not.
Right.
I did see a supposedly looked like a news article on it that I read.
Yeah.
And then I saw some different videos from supposedly eyewitness accounts, but it was some FEMA representative that was telling these people they weren't going to get no help, and he got whipped. They beat him up.
No,
yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
They beat him up and run him off the hill.
Oh,
the Appalachian people wouldn't play. The mountain people.
Well, and what's the help they're offering? A $750 loan?
Loan, yeah.
If you qualify?
They interviewed a mayor.
Yeah, you're telling me about this.
Yeah, they interviewed a mayor, and his daughter didn't qualify for the loan, but she did get a $300 loan for immediate needs.
Isn't that sweet?
Immediate needs. In the meanwhile, like the same day, we sent $158 million over to Iran for humanitarian efforts.
Right. Well, and every 10 days, we're sending $60 million to Afghanistan for humanitarian
60
efforts.
To 80.
Yeah.
60 to 80 million.
Every 10 days.
Every 10 days. We can't.
Your money every 10 days.
And then, Lion St. Pierre there, the press secretary lady, she gets up there and says, that's rumors about FEMA's use money for the migrants. But 2 years earlier, she did a press meeting there
saying that we have FEMA funds designated for helping and housing the aliens.
Yeah. So
I've got a personal story that it cracked me up. Okay. It just cracked me up. So y'all know, most of y'all know, if you're brand new to the program, you may not. Lloyd and I are both Army vets. I served during the Gulf War, and the VA. Ever since I've been back, I was maybe back 2 years. 2 years after the Gulf War, just gotten out of the Army, registered with the VA and all that. I became a part of what they call the Millennial Cohort Study, and it's a annual survey that you do, and they're checking up on your health, and they're looking for like Gulf War syndrome kind of stuff, and it's a real in-depth study. It's been going on however long that's been. I mean, since 1998, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, so I've been a participant of that all this time. And, they'll send me a gift card to thank me and stuff like that. Well, I just filled out this year's survey, and I sent it back to them, and I get a thank you letter. And I open this letter up, and I open it up, and there are two $20 bills in cash inside this letter, $40. And the letter says, we're giving you this $40 to say thank you. And I'm looking at it, and it hit me. Well, thank you so much for sending me 40 of my own dollars back. You sent me $40 of my tax money back. Isn't that sweet?
That's just right. That's just
I'm going to take $100 from you, and then I'm going to give you 10 back.
And, it's easy to spend somebody else's money.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even have to worry about it. I've had jobs that, you'd be like, you're going.
Yeah.
And
they send you to do the
unlimited budget. Yeah. Just make this happen. We don't care what it costs.
Right.
And you go, are you sure? And even then, you run into higher ticket items, and you go and check with the homeowner or whoever it might be and say, hey, look here, I know you said unlimited, but let me just double check.
That's because of how we were raised.
Right. And even then they'll be like, no, just get it. Just do it. Whatever it takes, make it happen. I've been on a few jobs like that.
In my current occupation, we operate much like a lawyer's office in the billing. What we do is we take a retainer up front. And then we work off that retainer. And then as we get close to the end of that retainer, we have a meeting with our client, and we decide whether or not we're producing results worthy of refreshing that retainer.
You want to continue or not continue?
And when I'm working on a case for a client, man, I'm cutting corners everywhere I can to make sure I am getting the most for them out of that money.
Yeah.
Now I could sit in the office with my feet up and ponder their case for an hour and then charge them for an hour.
Sure.
I could do that.
Sure. Lawyers do it all the time.
But I don't do that.
Lawyers do it all the time.
There are times that I will go out to do something and it's not fruitful, and I don't even write it down.
Right.
Because I am getting the most for my client as I can out of that money. That's how we were raised. Joe Biden, misinformation. Dude, have you seen the wildfires in Wyoming?
I have not. I saw that on your list.
Yeah.
I have not.
There are massive wildfires going on right now in Wyoming. It's destroying millions of acres, and you don't see anything about it on the news. You know how I know about it? Because a member of my church has a friend who fights wildfires for the federal government.
Massive wildfire in Wyoming expands to over 75,000 acres. That was 19 hours ago.
And it killed a bunch of cattle.
1,000 firefighters are fighting 2 separate wildfires.
Yep. And it's not on the news. Not on the news at all. And then up in Kansas, talking about Dust Bowl kind of stuff, there was this woman showing this video or making this video, and I don't remember where it was in Kansas, but this dust storm is moving towards her, and Lloyd, it looked like a wall of dirt. Again, Matthew chapter 24. You looking that one up?
I'm looking for something in there.
It was a really, really fast. I've been through some dust storms, man. I'll tell you what. Time for a war story. Over there in Saudi Arabia, we were constantly having to be on the lookout for these dust storms.
There's a little video here they're playing, and
yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Look at that wall. It's just a wall of dirt coming towards this woman. This is crazy, just crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just searched Kansas dust storm.
I have over in Saudi Arabia. You'd be out doing whatever you're doing, whatever your job is, and you would look off to, let's say, the east or the west. It doesn't matter which direction, and all of a sudden the sky is just orange, orange, and it's a sandstorm. And as soon as you see that, you take cover somewhere.
You better do something.
You take cover somewhere. We were fresh into country. It was the way we came in to there was an end processing station in Riyadh. Then we got our orders, and we set up camps out in the middle of the desert. Nowhere, no roads leading to it. It was just geographic coordinates. And we did this all the way across the country, going towards our primary objective. And it was our first camp. As a matter of fact, I got a picture of me on guard post with an M60 at that camp. I'm sure you've probably seen that picture.
Yeah.
But anyway, out in the middle of nowhere.
Looking like a youngster.
I was 12. I was 12 back then. And anyways, we saw this dust storm coming. So we'd been briefed, or not dust storm, it's sandstorm. So we all take cover in our tents. And this first one come through, and we come outside. It's like, wow, that was wild, and all that stuff is oohing and on because it's our first one.
Right.
Get out to our Humvees, and all the windows are frosted. We had to bust the windows out of our Humvees. The second sandstorm.
What do you mean frosted?
Like you take a sandblaster and you frost the glass.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was that
you couldn't see through the windows
at all.
They went from transparent to translucent.
That's tough to drive with.
Yeah. We had to smash the windows out, and the rest of the time over there, drive with goggles on.
God.
Yeah. And a buddy of mine got caught out in it, and it was hot. He had his sleeves up. He comes running in the tent. His arms look like hamburger meat.
Just blistered off.
He'd been sandblasted.
Man.
He'd been sandblasted. And so, yeah. Anyway, Gavin Newsom. You always know it's going to be fun when I bring up that name. Gavin Newsom. For those of you that may not know, I can't believe it. Anyone's watching our podcast knows who Gavin Newsom is. Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. He's the former mayor of San Francisco. He is the current governor of California.
Yeah,
that's a resume right there. Gavin Newsom just signed into law a statute that would send up to him from the state legislature that makes it illegal. It is now illegal in the state of California for any poll worker to ask any voter for any ID.
Yeah, I saw that.
Isn't that something?
I also saw that in I can't remember what state, but they were.
You're not a political scientist, are you?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that credential doesn't exist in this room. But you do have common sense, don't you?
Well, depends on who you ask.
On occasion.
I've been known to possess it once in a while.
Once in a while. Let me ask you a question.
Don't always use my best common sense, but I have it.
Give me one good reason why you would outlaw the examination of documents of ID before a vote.
Well, there's an obvious reason. Because I want everybody, no matter what your status is in this country, to vote because if you're illegal migrant, 90% of the first-time voters, illegal migrants, vote Democrat.
Yeah, because it was Joe Biden that said before the election, if I were a migrant, I would surge the border.
Do you know what? You're talking about ID. I have a friend of mine who works it's like DoorDash, but they deliver groceries for. Her primary person that she does it for is Walmart.
Yeah.
And there was a problem for a little while with the whole DoorDash organization. She was just telling me about this just the other day, and a lot of illegals were taking those jobs, the DoorDash jobs, and so they cracked down on it because they didn't want the illegals to have taken these jobs. And what it was is, in order to sign up, you got to do some verification in order to sign up.
Yeah, you got to have a driver's license.
So what would they do?
Vehicle
I would
insurance.
sign up, being a legal resident,
right,
and then I'd give the account to you.
Yeah, hand my car keys and the app over to.
Yeah, I just turn over all that app.
And of course, I'm skimming off the top of what you make.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, so what Walmart did, now this is to deliver groceries.
Yeah.
This isn't to vote for the leader of the free world. To deliver groceries for Walmart, you have a Walmart delivery verification ID card, has to be state issued. Every 24 hours, you have to
present your ID.
Not just present your ID, do a facial recognition every 24 hours.
Oh, you got to send in a selfie.
They on the app, they have a facial recognition on the app. And Emily has to look. She was worried she wasn't going to pass one time because she had her glasses on. And in her driver's license picture, she's not wearing glasses.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, no. But she couldn't stop in the middle of it. She's like, I know I'm going to get denied, but she didn't.
That's wild.
That's to just deliver groceries for Walmart. That's and it makes sense. I agree with that policy.
Yeah.
But we can't have nothing even close to that in the United States for voting for our president.
You can't get on an airplane.
Can't go to the liquor store.
You can't go to the liquor store. You can't buy a firearm or ammunition.
Nope.
You can't go to a ball game. You can't go to Disney World unless you have a state-issued picture ID.
I can't buy you tickets at our local water park, and I know this because I work there.
Yeah.
I can't buy you tickets and leave them at the gate, and you come get them without an ID.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
And that's in little town Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
We can't do that. You have to have a photo ID.
Right.
And I ran into that because I was going to buy tickets for Misty and the boys. And he said, man, make sure that they got their ID because they will not give them that ticket.
That's amazing.
And he said, I know she can come up and be like, yeah, that's my daddy. He's right there. And he's still not going to give her the ticket unless she has an ID. And I said, well, what about the boys? They don't got IDs yet. They're that big.
Yeah.
He's like, no, the minors we're not worried about, but the mama has to have her ID.
Yeah.
And he said, because you're not really buying tickets for the minors, you're buying tickets for mom to
right.
take her kid.
Right.
And I'm like, got it. And that's, I understood that.
Yeah.
And you know what? We complied like a mug.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I said, okay. I put down my money. I bought the tickets, and Misty came up there to get the tickets. And I told her, make sure you have your ID.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And it's to verify that nothing funny is going on.
Yeah.
That's all. Nobody ran the ID. It wasn't run through David or NCIC or none of that crap.
Right.
It was just, they looked at it, they looked at her and said, okay, thank you, and moved on.
Yeah.
Just like if you go up and buy cigarettes and you don't look like me, if you look like me, they're not going to ID you. But if you don't look like me and they ID you, it's to verify that they and you aren't breaking the law.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I dig those laws. And now we got laws that say you're not allowed
to
ask.
Right.
That's just nuts.
Isn't it?
Let's talk about laws. I ran into something funny. I did. Some strange laws. Do you know in Utah? Now let's think about it.
Okay.
Let's think about where is Utah in the United States.
Okay.
Get an idea of where it's at.
Is this your fun fact segment?
It's kind of sort of, yeah.
All right.
And
fun facts with Lloyd Kahler.
In Utah, it's illegal to whale hunt.
Okay.
There's a law on the book.
Yeah.
I had never seen any coastline in Utah. I don't think you've ever spotted a whale if you're on Utah soil.
Right.
I don't think you can.
Right.
I don't think it's possible. You'd have to see across a couple states.
Well, it depends on whether or not you're talking about a legitimate whale, as in a giant
fish, dude.
Well, no,
sea-bearing mammal. Fish
yeah, there you go.
Thing in the ocean,
as opposed to a large march.
No.
I think it's illegal to hunt them.
It's illegal to hunt them. Yeah. In Oregon, it's illegal in Oregon to whistle underwater.
Okay.
But most all laws, I tried to research of why.
Right.
I really did. I tried to dig into this. Most all laws, there's like, let's make
something happen somewhere.
Let's make a law where you can't kill people.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not good. We invented cars. And then we all of a sudden decided let's make some speed limits.
Yeah.
Let's make laws that you got to have lights on these cars.
Yeah.
There's reasons behind most all laws.
Well, here's one for you. Did you know in Oklahoma, our neighbor to the north, it is illegal to get your fish drunk?
No. But in Oregon, you're not allowed to whistle underwater, and it's also illegal to swim above water.
Okay.
I'm not.
Levitation.
I can't even wrap.
Levitation.
So if you're going to swim, you better dive under, or you can go to jail. And in California,
oh boy, here we go.
It is illegal to set a mouse trap without a hunting license.
Oh my gosh, that I don't doubt. I have no doubt whatsoever. I forget what state it was, but there was one state where I read, because these things pop up. It is illegal to tether your elephant to a parking meter.
Well, and in Texas has got some silly ones too.
Oh yeah.
In Texas, it is technically not illegal to drive a vehicle without a windshield.
Okay.
But it is illegal to drive a vehicle without windshield wipers.
Oh.
So you don't have to have a windshield, but you better have them wipers. And in Minnesota, it's illegal to tease skunks.
Nanny boo.
Yeah. And here's one for you.
All right.
And I'll stop right here.
Okay.
I got a list. I could do this for the next hour and a half.
I bet you could.
I got a list. This one's for you. I had to include this. And I'll stop right here. This is Alabama.
Alabama.
It says, according to Alabama law, it is considered illegal to wear a fake mustache in church and induce laughter.
So wearing what was you remember the plastic glasses with nose? And
the March. Yeah.
That's
Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
That if you induce laughter.
Yep. Oh man.
By wearing a mustache in Alabama.
That's funny.
It's illegal. There were several Alabama laws that were funny.
Funny.
We'll save them for another time.
Well, one last thing I want to touch on before we close, and going from the silly to the serious. Y'all, we need to be in prayer for Israel. Israel, number one, Yom Kippur is coming up, which is the highest holy day of the Jewish calendar. Where we're at, it's like a cliffhanger. It's like a dramatic TV show. Where we left off was Iran launched the biggest ballistic missile attack in human history against Israel.
Right.
Targeting, of course, civilian populations.
Yep.
By God's grace, not one Israeli died.
Yes.
The only person so far on record that has died was a Palestinian dude that had snuck across the border in Nazareth, and he got hit by falling debris.
Yeah.
But
karma.
Benjamin Netanyahu has said he's made the pledge. Israel is going to retaliate. That's been a week or two, and Israel hasn't retaliated. Now I think there's some psyops going here. Because the Iranian folks are like, especially after everything they've done already.
We've already blown up your faces, fingers, in private areas.
Yeah. Well, and remember the dude, the Hamas commander in Tehran, in the safe house that they blew up in his bed. Then you look at the Hezbollah leadership. They killed the Hezbollah leader. Then they killed the replacement to the Hezbollah leader. Then they killed the replacement's replacement. And now that post is vacant.
Who wants to sign up for
Do we have any volunteers?
He known to me.
Yes. It's got like when the drill sergeant comes in the barracks and says, I need 3 volunteers, and everyone's all of a sudden deaf.
Yeah. So being the Hezbollah leader is kind of like being the unfortunate baby and a mother when they go to the abortion clinic.
Yeah, true enough.
Because your lifespan is fixing to end.
It's nil.
You're on limited time.
If you are a potential Hezbollah leader, then your life expectancy is less than that of a second lieutenant in Vietnam.
Yeah, that was minutes.
But anyway, they are going to retaliate, and Sleepy Creepy Joe is telling Benjamin Netanyahu, do not hit their nuclear facilities and do not hit their oil refineries.
Why?
Good question. To minimize ecological disaster.
So you want them to maintain nuclear capabilities,
sure,
and
make money,
finance capabilities.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we haven't imposed our sanctions or enforced sanctions on that whole region in some time. They were supposed to be imposed.
Yeah,
supposed to be. They're in action, but we're not enforcing them.
Right. Yeah,
and we talked about that last week about the increase of their ability to make lots of cash.
They went from being flat broke under Donald Trump to rolling in it. Like you said, we just sent billions of dollars over there.
Billions of dollars.
Humanitarian relief.
Why our American people are dying and drowning.
Yep.
And doing without. Oh, I did see where FEMA sent some tents to North Carolina.
Oh, isn't that nice of them?
Well, yeah, because if you're a migrant and you come here illegal, you get put up in
a hotel
room with food and a debit card and whatnot. But if you're an American, you get a tent.
Yeah, and $750
that you have to pay back, and they're probably going to charge you for that tent. And knowing the government,
there's probably interest on that $750.
And the tent probably going to cost you, $8,000.
Yeah,
because the government.
Right. Well, I want to take.
That's one of the things that Elon will eliminate.
Oh yeah, I want to take a moment out and thank you, because looking at this list that I've got, if you can see it, if you can't, that's all right too, because you already heard us talk about all of it. Out of this list, it was all dire stuff, and you interjected some humor, and I appreciate that, because we have to remember to do that.
That's it.
We have to remember to. Take time.
Take time to be kind. Take time to be nice.
Smile.
Smile. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't. It's not that hard.
It's
just not. God, it's just not.
This last week, I have spent more time up at that hospital than I ever wanted to.
Well, I mean,
between Jan going up there and seeing her and Larry and Mindy, and then Mama. For those of you that don't know, our mother is in the hospital.
My mother-in-law is in the hospital.
And your mother-in-law, yeah. I went and saw her yesterday.
Good.
And visited with her. She asked me, she says, is Lloyd still doing a good job at work? I said, yes, ma'am. I said, he is one of the most valuable, dependable employees. I said, you know that man's work ethic. She says, I know. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to whoop him.
Yeah.
Crazy. She's laying in a hospital bed, very, very likely near the end. And talking about whooping you.
Yep.
Because sometimes you need whooping.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
She's right.
Yeah, sometimes.
But since 1996, I ain't had nobody that's offered me a whooping.
Yeah.
Since our father passed away,
right
I haven't had anybody that has offered me up a whooping, and I don't think nobody can do it. To be honest with you. I'm not saying I can't be beat up. I'm just saying you can't give me a whooping.
Oh, a whooping. Yeah, you're not gonna bend me over the knee or nothing.
No.
Not without a fight. But anyway,
there are going to be repercussions.
I've been going up to that hospital way too often. Back to Mama, because that's what I was telling. So day before last, two of our sisters went over to our mom's house. She was in the bed, barely coherent. She didn't have the ability to get out of the bed, and it was dire. It looked bad.
Yeah.
And our sister Terry very wisely called for an ambulance.
Sure.
I was at work. It was 6:00 in the evening. I was going out to do a job, and got a call from Cindy, and I immediately headed straight to the hospital, of course.
Right.
And got there, and they got Mama there and got her settled in, and we were able to go back, and it was scary. It was scary. I was afraid. In my humanity, my love for my mother, I was afraid. Now here's the good news. I know where she's going if she does go.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah, but anyway,
Sally both.
Here's what it boiled down to. Mom has, since childhood, suffered from pretty severe asthma.
Oh, yeah.
And after 84 years of asthma, there's been a lot of damage done to her respiratory system.
Sure. She is.
And it comes out as a form of COPD. Now, it's funny, people say COPD, you immediately think of a chain smoker.
Yeah.
Mom doesn't smoke. Now, she has in the
Let me
past,
tell you a
but
funny
very
story.
lightly.
I'll tell you a funny story about Mom smoking.
Yeah?
She's the only smoker in history the doctor told her don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because
it was so infrequent.
Well, she would buy a pack of the Virginia Slims.
Yep.
And she would light it, take 2 or 3 puffs off, and put it out and put it back in the pack. She had to keep them in the freezer
because they'd go stale. Yeah, they'd go
dry out and become crispy.
Yeah.
A pack of cigarettes would last her literally months.
Yeah. And that's when she did smoke, but she hasn't smoked in decades.
And she didn't smoke long.
No.
It was the fashion thing then.
Yeah, it was. It really was, especially the Virginia Slims. But anyhow, the damage to her lungs has been the asthma. And 2 weeks ago, she was in the hospital because of an asthma attack.
Right.
And so anyways, COPD combined with heart failure. And when the doctor said that scared me.
Sure.
But I did some research. And I don't know if you know this. Heart failure. When you hear heart failure, you think heart attack.
Right.
That's not what it is.
No.
Heart failure is not an event. It's a condition. And what heart failure means is that your heart, for some reason, is having to work way harder than it should to accomplish what it would normally do if it was healthy. And so between the COPD flaring up, the heart failure flaring up, it drove her O2 levels, her oxygen levels so low that she was delirious.
Yes.
Her oxygen levels were in the 50s and 60s when they got her there.
Well, that's low.
Yeah. Her brain was starved.
You're supposed to run about 98%.
Yeah, 92. 92 is where they want her at. And they got her there. They got her on oxygen. And within an hour and a half.
Oh, it's amazing what
she's looking around, smiling.
It's amazing what some good old oxygen will do with
the next day. She was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I got to share this. So she hadn't eaten in a couple days. And she looks over. Frank's, here, like we said, and me and Frank are sitting in there. She goes, "I'm hungry." And I said, "I bet you are." And she'd ordered food. And she says, "I ordered a sandwich." I say, Good. So the lady comes in, brings a sandwich. And I get up and I get her plate prepared so that she can get to it. And it's a flatbread sandwich with smoked turkey and avocado. And it's got a lettuce and tomato on it. And she had some cottage cheese and a iced tea. And so I get all this set up for her. And she reaches over and she grabs that sandwich and she bites into it. And she's chewing and she's doing this. And she's got a mouthful of turkey and avocado. And she goes, "Oh, God, this is the best sandwich I've ever had in my life." Hospital food, y'all.
That's called hungry.
I'm telling you.
That's called hungry.
Yeah, I know you've heard this before, but there's an old Jerry Clower story. Said these two ranchers are talking to each other over the fence line. One of them says, "What do you feed your dog?" "I feed my dog food." "Why? What do you feed your dog?" He says, "Turnip greens." He says, "My dog wouldn't eat no turnip greens." He says, "Mine wouldn't eat them for a month." Yeah, that was the best sandwich Mama ever had. Mom's doing great. She's still in the hospital, and they're going to keep her there for a while. And they're trying to wean her off the oxygen, get her back where she can come back home. They're determining whether or not she's going to need to go to physical therapy. I think she probably will, so she'll probably go back to Encompass.
Yeah.
But she's doing phenomenal. For those of y'all that know the situation, thank you for your prayers. A lot of people have been praying for Mama.
Oh, absolutely.
But the point of the story was I've been up there at that hospital so much. Between the Jan and Mom and now Sally, and I was walking through the emergency room. Anyone that's not familiar with the hospital, there's only 2 ways to get in the hospital. They've got the whole thing locked down,
right.
and rightly so. And the 2 ways that you can get in the hospital, you have to go past security. That's the whole point of it.
Sure.
And one way is in another building, and you go up to the Sky Bridge and come over. The other way, you come through the emergency department down this long hall. And then another long hall, and then another long hall.
Yeah.
And so I'm going down these long halls, getting to the elevator, and I speak to everybody.
Sure.
I always have, all my life. I speak to everyone. "How are you doing today?" And I walked past this fella, and I said, "How are you doing today, sir?" And he just kind of grumbled. I said, "Are you okay?" And he looked at me kind of funny, and he says, "I'm up here at the hospital. My wife's sick. You think I'm okay?" I said, "Sir, I'm truly sorry." I said, "Would it be okay if I pray with you?" And all of a sudden, this crusty, hard old man just started tearing up.
Changed his attitude.
And he said, would you?
Just that little act of
Yeah,
kindness.
and I
You have
put
no idea
Yeah.
what impact you had on that guy's, not day,
Yeah.
the rest of his life.
I put my hand on his shoulder and I prayed for him.
Powerful, man.
And that was it, you know?
The rest of his life. And it's not just his life.
Yeah.
I'm sure, out of doubt, he spoke to his wife and told his wife about this.
Mhm.
And then probably, told somebody else about it.
Yeah.
And then somebody else tells somebody else about it.
Yeah.
And it's all about just this small act of kindness that absolutely cost you nothing and took a very minimum amount of time out of your day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have no idea the impact, the carry-on ripple effect impact it has with that guy.
I've got another story. This isn't my story, but I'm going to share it anyway. Last Saturday was Friendship Festival here in Burke.
Yeah.
And the ladies of our church had a booth. And they what they were doing is they had the church for over a couple of months, bring in arts and crafts kind of stuff.
Right.
I made some coasters, and they were selling them out there, and the money goes to our benevolence fund. We help people in the community that have needs. And so our ladies were out there, and we got this little gal. Her name's Linda. And when I say little gal, I mean she is a tiny little thing. And Linda is bold. And she's speaking to everybody who walks by and talking to them, having prayer with folks right there on the sidewalk. But I just love Linda. And this woman walked by, and she just looked like she was sour, looked like she'd been baptized in pickle juice. And Linda strikes up a conversation with her. She says, "Can I pray for you?" And this woman says, No, I don't believe in that mess. And Linda's response was, "Well, the Lord bless you." She says, "In the name of Jesus, you have a wonderful day."
You know, I walked in that cloud for a long time.
Oh yeah.
It was Huey.
Hey.
I said, man, I don't want to hear you.
God, Easter Bunny, and Santa Claus all in the same boat.
Tooth Fairy, they all lived in the same house.
Yep, sure enough, man.
They
Sure
all lived
enough.
in the same house. Wow, was I so wrong.
God bless
And
you
I
guys.
never have been more happy
To be wrong. That's right. That's right. God bless you, folks. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope and pray that we've been a blessing to you. And you know, again, please like, comment, subscribe. I know it's asking a lot, but
you know what I would like to see?
And share. What's that?
You know what I'd like to see in our comments?
What's that?
I would like to see the people that do listen to us, do watch this, especially the ones that watch to the end, because now we're at the end.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them
their kindness stories,
or a God story.
Yeah.
In the comments,
absolutely, absolutely.
Share something with us.
Yeah,
Share one of your.
What has God done in your life lately? What are you grateful to God about? Or give us a time that you have been kind to somebody, or somebody has been kind to you and it made an impact.
For no reason.
Yeah.
It's as simple as buying the person behind you's coffee at McDonald's.
There you go.
To whatever.
Not like that old man you talked about last week.
That was funny.
That is
was
funny.
A lesson learned.
That is hilarious. That is
was
hilarious. So listen, y'all, again, like, comment, subscribe on this video, share it. The YouTubers don't like us, or the YouTube doesn't like us.
Yeah.
Because we talk about things like, I don't know, truth, justice, and the Second Amendment.
and we throw God in there a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
Shame on us.
Well, and speaking of which, one more time, God bless the socks off of y'all. We love you, and Lord willing, we'll see you next week. Oh, hey, there's something else we want to talk about, and we didn't.
What?
Vote and vote early.
Yes,
vote early.
First.
Listen,
Bank
y'all.
them votes. Let's get it done.
I know that conservatives take pride in voting on voting day, on election day. But look at what happened up in New York in 2022. Up in New York, all of the Lee Zeldin was running for governor. He was within inches of it. There were a couple of House races that were up in New York, and the conservatives. There were enough conservatives to push these candidates over. The Democrats voted early. They voted by mail. They did all this stuff. The Republicans I vote on election day. Well, guess what happened on election day? A blizzard.
Yeah.
And people couldn't get out of their houses to get to the polls. Listen, y'all, with all the stuff we've been talking about with the weather and things that are going on, there is no guarantee that on November 5th, you're going to be able to get to your polling place. You don't know what's going to happen. So get in there and vote early.
We're going to extend the podcast.
All right.
There's already rumors, and I've seen the headlines from the FBI, from the Department of Homeland Security, of potential threats on or about November 5th.
Imagine that.
And they're talking about a cyber attack that attacks either our electricity and or our cellular communications.
Right.
Either one would harm the voting process.
And they're talking about physical attacks, kinetic attacks at polling places.
Yes. And if so, vote early.
Yeah,
Vote early. Let's bank the votes. I'm going to.
I want to say it's the 27th. I want to say it's the 27th. October 27th is the first day of early voting in the state of Texas. I've got it in my calendar.
First day of voting for Texas.
No, it's not 27th. Where is it? Oh, here we. Nope, that ain't it. Somewhere. I guess it didn't cross over. Well, it should have. Let me see.
September. Well, no.
October.
No, that's primary.
October. Oh, here it is. October 21st. I got it in my calendar.
Okay.
So October 21st, 2024 in the state of Texas is the first day of early voting. And I'm going to suggest that everybody that's a viewer of our podcast, put it in your calendar like I did.
There you go.
With an alarm.
You know what? I'm gonna
for
put
10 o'clock a.m. in my case. Go and vote, and let's bank those votes. What they say? Too big to rig.
What do you say? October what?
21st.
That is
That's Trudy's birthday.
Trudy's birthday.
So on Trudy's birthday, get out there and vote. Give her the birthday present of Donald Trump presidency.
That's 11 days.
Yeah, it's 11 days from today. Let's do it, y'all.
I am putting it in my calendar.
All right, y'all.
Setting my.
Once again, God bless y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we will see you next week, Lord willing.
Yes, sir.